to talk about the Clippers getting off to a very fast start last night. Leonard is dishing, and then Leonard is knocking shots down. And Richard Jefferson, 14-0 Clippers.
And it was actually worse than it looked. It's actually worse than it looked.
Well, it's going to look bad here, too.
Yeah.
That's D'Angelo Russell getting swatted earlier. Draymond Green getting banged up on the play. He'd come back and be okay. Russell would wind up scoring 20 on the night. But the Clippers would just completely take over. And what we're going to see here, again, Green would go off, but he would come back and would generally be okay. Kawhi Leonard would take this game over in the third, and you're going to find him finding teammates. Landry Shamet here.
And look, he had a career-high 9 assists last night, and that was the one thing. If I had to give a critique to Kawhi, he was just a traditional two-guard. He didn't necessarily make players better. But if he starts dishing out 5, 6, 7 assists a night, a la LeBron James, that, to me, will make him the best player in the NBA.
And knocking tough shots down there like that one as well. In all, the Clippers would score 141 points, most ever allowed by a Steve Kerr Warriors team. That one's practically unfair. Kawhi, 21 points, 9 assists in just 21 minutes on the floor. Load management taking care of itself. And the Clippers hand the Warriors a wall-to-wall, buzzer-to-buzzer blowout in the first game in their new building.
And this is not, not a one-off. This is the reality. There's going to be nights like this year, so you got to play through it, and you got to keep fighting and keep getting better. Losing stinks. It's no fun. But the last 5 years we've been living in a world that isn't supposed to exist.
I'm not a moral victory type of guy. I'm not leaving this game looking for something to build off on. We sucked, and we got to get better. I'm not a coach, so I'm not about to go watch a film and say, oh, well, we can build on this. I really don't give a damn about what we can build on. We sucked tonight, and we got to get better overall.
All right, that's pretty blunt and fairly accurate assessment of what we saw last night. From the Clippers side, look, they're just flat out good, and they're playing without Paul George. So, candidly, they're flat out great. What are the Warriors flat out?
In trouble, right? And people have been saying this, and you always say this, you don't want to disrespect the 5-time conference champions, the 3-time champions. You do not want to disrespect them, but this is not a very good team. They're going to struggle offensively. Steph Curry he's going to get his. I think D'Angelo Russell is going to help. But then after that, you're really lacking in other people, other playmakers. And so I just really don't see how the Golden State Warriors are going to be able to withstand a better conference than last year.
Listen, this game was played late last night, so I'm assuming a lot of people who were up early with us this morning did not see it last night. But you read coming into this about how young the Warriors are. They have all these guys 23 and under. But till you actually see them on the floor, you realize, who are these guys? We've been watching the Warriors play a long time. You don't recognize half the people they have on their team.
No, and if you look at them over the course of this stretch they've been successful, they've had notable names, even guys coming off the bench like Andre Iguodala, Livingston. They've had Barbosa. They had so many guys that were able to contribute to this team. But these young guys, I believe, will get better over the course of the season. But getting better over the course of the season as a 22-year-old player, 23-year-old player, that's not going to be good enough to get you into the postseason. So I'm not going to count them out yet, but Steve Kerr is lowering expectations for a reason. This is a man that was with Popovich and was with Phil Jackson. He's seen great teams. He's been a part of great teams. He knows this is not a very good team.
Yeah, correct. They're about as far away from great as you can possibly be. And all the things we were worried could be wrong with them were on display last night. Namely, they can't play defense, and they don't really have places to go for big buckets. Steph Curry is not the kind of guy who's going to find a way to get one by himself. It needs to be within the flow of an offense that they don't have. So storyline coming out of that game. Clippers, great. Warriors, going to be a long year. Next game, because this one is good, we got the last 3 MVPs on the floor together as Milwaukee took on Houston last night. Harden, Westbrook, and Giannis all in the game. First quarter, Harden showing it off early. The first bucket of the game is a Harden assist.
Well, look, and the way, that's what they need to do. They need to create more for other guys. And I think they're going to create for each other. I think they're going to win a lot of games, but I just don't know. And we see it right here. This is these moments. And I think these guys are brothers, and I think they'll figure it out. But there's going to be a lot more of those conversations.
Yes, we'll make a big deal of that conversation because we make a big deal of everything. Westbrook now pushing the pace. You saw his first bucket. Now here comes another dish. Here, that's Eric Gordon. Westbrook had 16 rebounds because he always does. And then James Harden slowing the action down because he always does and finds a way to knock down. That's a tough step back 3. Harden had 15 points and 8 assists in the first half. Westbrook pushing it again. Rockets would jump out to a 16-point lead.
And they're going to have these bursts. They have two of the most dynamic players, maybe of all time. So they're going to have these bursts. It's a matter if they can sustain it on the defensive end.
And they couldn't in the second half. They had 55 scored or assists on 55 of the 66 first half points. But in the second half, here comes Giannis.
And look, this is what an MVP does. He just doesn't give up on the play. He tracks them down. And this is why the Milwaukee Bucks, I think, will be one of 2 60-win teams this year because of the defense they play.
Well, they were down 16, but now Giannis hits a 3, and now it's 13, and he's working his way back. Giannis had 12 points in the third quarter to bring it back in it. Well, he's tough to stop. They trail by 9 going into the fourth. Bucks pushing their way back into the game. Watch this move by Giannis.
Look, this guy. I'm glad I'm retired. I'm glad I'm retired.
It defies description. The Bucks cut it to 7 with the Rockets lead there. Now the Rockets lead has been cut to 2. It's Westbrook. He's pushing, and he's going to find it. Oh, look at this. Westbrook throws it down. Rockets a 4-point lead. Good game. Back and forth we go. A minute later, Bucks trailing by 2. Chris Middleton. No, first we'll see it again. Why not?
Oh, why not? Let's just see Brody get up one more time.
Now we get to the Bucks trailing by 2. Chris Middleton. They haven't led the entire night, but that's a tough shot. And all of a sudden, Milwaukee's back in front.
Milwaukee is not going to stop playing. Like Budenholzer is going to have these guys just locked in on the defensive end. And look, I think, to me, that they will be the team that comes out of the East this year.
You saw Harden there. He wanted the shot. He wanted the foul. He didn't get either. Now he throws it up. They can't find a way to get a bucket. Harden really struggling in the second half, but on that play, Giannis would foul out of the game with 30 points, 13 boards, and 11 assists. Rockets not going away. Westbrook knocks one down. He would score 24. Under 2 minutes to go. Bucks, where are they going to get a bucket without Giannis? Wesley Matthews puts them up by 6. And then it's Harden. Well, I tell you what a terrible second half. He would finish 2 of 13, 19 points, 7 boards, 14 assists. Bucks hold on without Giannis. They beat the Rockets by 6.
It feels amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Being down 17 and able to come back, at no moment of the game we felt like we gave up. Like, this can only make it better.
I didn't play well offensively the entire night. Give them credit, they came back and played well that second half. But this one is on me. I wasn't as aggressive enough, and that's what it was.
I mean, it's all of us. I got to do a better job of helping him out, especially when teams are playing, guarding him like that. That's why I'm here to be able to create for him, so he doesn't have to create and do everything like he's accustomed to.
All right, so the New York Plenty of Hoops mixed in with RJ here, and Jess will be with us as we look forward to Game 3 of the World Series. All that and more. But before we can look forward, let's look back. Last night, NFL Week 8 kicks off in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins in a night filled with revenge subplots, Bobby, facing his former team in Washington. And early, he finds his favorite target. And
Dalvin Cook, the most explosive player on the field, get the ball in his hands and get out of the way.
Runs 68 yards on this 31-yard gain, setting them up for their opportunity. And now on a 3rd and goal from the 4-yard line. Got to throw it, don't you? No, they don't.
You would think Mike Zimmer says, I don't care about this. They're giving it to him again. Let him pound it in. I don't think anybody expected a run on 3rd down from the 4.
9 touchdowns for Cook early this season. Vikings a 7-point lead. Now, with the ball at their own 10 on a 3rd and long, it's Cousins and Stephon Diggs.
And this is when Cousins is at his best. He wasn't doing this well earlier in the season. Gets it to Diggs down the field for the big play. Keep your wide receivers happy, Greg.
Thielen not playing last night with the hamstring. Diggs 7 catches, 143 yards. Now, Case Keenum in this game would suffer a concussion, and so Dwayne Haskins forced into action again, and here's a nice little throw early on to Adrian Peterson.
Oh, changes his arm slot, gets it to AP there, and lets him do the rest of the work. Smart move, check the ball down, don't make the mistake.
Now here's a mistake. You tell me whose fault this is. A rusher's coming in free.
He's got to identify the rush, and either it needs to be picked up or he's got to get the ball out of his hand. Young quarterback needs to find a way to see that.
All right, but this would remain a game, and a very curious moment here. Again, in a 7-point game, Mike Zimmer and the Vikings have a 4th down inside their own 40-yard line. On a night where, again, their defense is pretty much shutting down the opposition, and they go for it.
Curious decision. This is kind of concerning here. They love to run the football. If you can't get a yard green at this point in time, it's going to be a long night, and unfortunately, they didn't pick it up, but their defense does the rest.
They didn't get it, and so Dwayne Haskins has a chance to take advantage, but unfortunately, he could not.
Defense takes care of him here. Dwayne Haskins knows where to go with the football, a little high. Minnesota makes him pay.
Haskins finishes 3 of 5, 33 yards and a pick. Vikings, it wasn't the prettiest night they had this season. But on a Thursday night, you take a win any way you can find one, and they do. Minnesota takes it 19-9.
We're 6-2. I think we've got everything in front of us, and we got to go out and prove it the second half of the season. But we've put ourselves in a position now where the second half of the season is going to be there for the taking, and so that's a really good thing.
I hate losing. I feel like I played a part in that, and it's tough, but it's only year one for me. Got a lot of years left, and this is all a learning experience.
Well, listen, Kirk Cousins continues to be a big story in this NFL season after all the criticism and all of the questions. Last night, 23 of 26. Completion percentage, the most in a single game in Vikings history, surpassing a mark that Brett Favre previously held. Again, it wasn't a splashy night, but we were talking about this in our meeting before the show. These Thursday nights, sort of to use the old Jim Valvano line, you sort of survive in advance. Right. You find a way to win and you get on with your life.
Absolutely. Just don't get anybody hurt. Get out healthy and find a way to win, whatever that takes. I'm just happy for Kirk Cousins. I know we were talking about him versus Daniel Jones the other day on this very show, so I'm just happy he's turned things around. He's playing well.
He has turned them around. I mean, it feels to me as though all of the talk about this team 3-4 weeks ago, when the receivers were upset, we all thought that was aimed at Cousins. Do you think it was aimed at the quarterback or at the coach?
It was aimed at the quarterback. It wasn't the coach because the running game and the offense hasn't changed. They're still running the ball effectively. They're still throwing the ball approximately 30 times a game. It was about, frankly, the scripted plays that they had to beat a Chicago Bears defense, for example. Kirk Cousins was missing the throw or missing the read. And that's frustrating if you're a Stephon Diggs, you're Adam Thielen, where you are a top-notch receiver, and you're like, look, man, you got to get us the ball, and that was the issue.
Look, the Vikings play in the jam-packed NFC. In the AFC, you might say they're the second-best team in the conference. But where do they stack up with some of the best teams, even in their own division with Green Bay?
I think they're kind of right there with Green Bay, maybe a step below New Orleans. But look how this team's constructed. They're very good. They can run the football. When Kirk Cousins does what he did last night, they're fantastic. His play-action game was terrific. Greeny, he was 6 of 8 in his 2 incompletions, 1 drop, and 1 throwaway. So when you're able to put an efficient passing game like that in his hands, he's going to be able to have success. But they're a team that should be able to make a run if they play like this in the playoffs.
John, do they have enough defense? I know you have some questions about their defense.
Yeah, my questions defensively are frankly at the cornerback position. When I played against a Mike Zimmer defense, it was known that you're going to stop the run. Mike Zimmer stops the run first, then you have aggressive corners. Right now, Xavier Rhodes, I'm watching him play, he's very tentative. And that's not going to get it done versus the Green Bay Packers of the world, right, to win the division. So for whatever reason, the cornerback position has to get more aggressive in what I remember from a Mike Zimmer defense.
It's going to be interesting because the NFC, assuming Breeze comes back healthy, you look at the big teams in that conference, and you're going to have Breeze out there. You're going to have Rodgers out there, his cousins, ready to go toe-to-toe with them. He isn't even the most valuable player on his own team. I want to shout out my buddy Booger McFarland, who was watching the game last night, and he posted something on Twitter that I wanted to show you guys. Booger McFarland posting on Twitter yesterday, if Christian McCaffrey is in the MVP conversation, and he is, then Dalvin Cook better be at the same table with him. Mark Sanchez, is Dalvin Cook a legit MVP candidate right now?
He's a great player. I don't know if he's in that discussion with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's also caught more balls than most receivers. He's got more receptions and yards than T.Y. Hilton. I mean, this guy is all over the field. He's their entire offense since Cam's gone down.
Yeah. Mark only lets quarterbacks win that. That's the problem. Both of these guys, top 3 rushers, top 3 yards after the catch. They're dynamic with the ball in their hand, but because of people at your position, no one else is allowed to win the MVP.
These are linebacker opinions, by the way.
No, well, I agree with you.
Thank you.
But I would only say the difference right now is that Christian McCaffrey, the defenses are they are evolved around him. Everything has to go where we need to stop Christian. He still gets his yards. Right. You can't do that with Minnesota. You have 2 dynamic wide receivers and then Dalvin Cook.
We'll see. That's where it begins for this morning. We have a lot of football on this Football Friday coming your way. But let me get you to a very interesting night in the NBA.